You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. I'm your guys' host, Chris Shanafelt, and joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is 2016 NFL Draft prospect Leon Hill, offensive lineman out of Glenville State. Leon was named to the 2015 All-Super Region football team for his outstanding play at tackle this past season. And with that said, Leon joins the show now. Thanks for taking some time this evening, Leon. Can you believe that your collegiate career is all over and now here you are getting ready for an opportunity at the next level?
No, sir. It's kind of unbelievable, man. It puts a big smile on my face, man, because, you go back to playing from a little kid and you think about now and it's like, dang, it's over with now. But it's like it's not over with. It's a start to a new beginning. So it's kind of crazy, the process, man.
Yeah. I mean, instead of playing for fun, back in high school, back in Little League days, you get to play for an education at the collegiate level, and now here you are trying to make it your everyday job to play professionally. Now talk about your journey to Glenville State, Leon, because you're actually from the 708. You're from the south side of Chicago, coming from Leo High School. You were one of the top high school recruits in the state of Illinois coming out, and before landing at Glenville, you signed with the University of Illinois. So for myself, for our listeners, tell us how you landed in West Virginia at Glenville State.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll be quite honest up front. I signed with University of Illinois high school back when I was probably about 18 or 19 years old. And then me going in my freshman year, you're thinking you're on top of the world or whatever. I kind of messed up on my grades, so I had to transfer to Glenville State, and I transferred here back in 2012. I left University of Illinois in 2010, so I was basically out for 2 years because I was thinking about going to junior college and getting my associate's degree to go back to D1 because, you need your associates to go back to D1. So I just said skip that, and I found Glenville State because they had a tackle by the name of Mark Jackson. And I actually Googled Glenville State, and I emailed them, and the coach accepted me, so I've been there ever since.
All right, yeah, and you know what? That kind of leads me up to my next question, Leon. I mean, how exactly did Glenville State enter the picture? I mean, you mentioned Mark Jackson. I mean, being from Illinois, though, I mean, you're going to U of I. It kind of looks as if, you kind of wanted to stick in the hometown state of Illinois, and then here you are. You wound up in West Virginia at Glenville. Talk a little bit more about how that happened, and were there any other Division II programs that you were considering? You mentioned that you thought about taking the JUCO route, but what about any other Division II or maybe Division III programs? Were there any other possibilities?
Yes, sir. I was actually thinking about going to Northern Michigan and Mount Union. And the funny story about me getting to Glenville State, like I said, I actually did. I Googled top school prospects for D2. And I'm like, man, just let me get a feel for who sends the most guys or whatever. And I see Big Mark, his situation is kind of similar. A big lineman coming out of Glenville State. I'm like, man, this guy's really getting looked at. Let me email them. And they accepted me right away. And I emailed, because I'm a researcher. That's what I really do, sir. I research a lot. And I emailed every last school, basically in D2, and I got a couple of responses. And Glenville State was the most serious. So I just said, sign me up. I didn't even take a visit to Glenville State, so I just said, sign me up, and I was ready to go.
Hey, there you go. And, yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, you're doing your research. You've seen another big offensive lineman coming out of Glenville State, having success there, and obviously you kind of followed those footsteps and, again, had an amazing career at Glenville State, and we'll certainly talk about that. But being a big-time high school recruit like you were, I mean, thinking here you are, you're going to play D1 Big Ten football, and then you ultimately land at a Division II program. I mean, were you surprised by the talent that you would go up against week in and week out in the Division II level? I mean, was that something that you're kind of expecting, the high level of competition there in the Division II football level?
Yes, sir, because I'm a big believer in you never doubt anyone, because you never know what anybody's capable of. So when I went to D2, I was already assuming, like, these guys are going to be good, so give your best effort and try to kill them, because I never want to go somewhere and just think, like, oh, this guy's weak, because you put half effort in. So I just want to have a good, clear mind about that. And actually, people will be surprised about Division II football. It's actually more competitive than what most people think. So I think people really need to check that out because there's a lot of good players come out of D2.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and obviously you're one of them. And you talk about the talent at the Division II level, even at the Division III level. I mean, these are guys that are, some of them aren't really looking to play at the next level. They're just happy to be, getting their education and playing a game that they love. And then there's guys like yourself, Leon. I mean, here you are, really from your first year there at Glenville State. To just this past season as a senior, you were a 4-year starter at right tackle. It's not the most common thing to find a 4-year starter at any position at any level of college football. How were you able to go in and earn the starting job right away as a freshman? I mean, was that something that you anticipated to happen when you first decided that you were going to be a pioneer, or was it something that you kind of had to earn in camp and leading to that first game your freshman year?
It was actually a little bit of both because Coach Hudson, like I say, he's a real good guy, and he was telling me on the phone he really needs a right tackle or whatever, and I was like, I don't really care, Coach. I'll play anything you want me to play. It doesn't matter if you want me to be the water boy, I'll play that. But basically, he was just telling me if I come in and compete, I'll be the starter or whatever, and that's what I did. So I just worked hard to compete and stay in my position. I stayed on top of my game and just stayed in that position for 4 years. God bless me with the talent.
And Leon, it kind of sounds as if you're pretty much you were just thankful to kind of get another opportunity to play the game. I mean, like you said, you're out of the game for a little while coming out of high school, leaving U of I. You said that you were willing to play anything. I mean, you're willing to be the water boy. I'm sure you're willing to play any position on that offensive line. Hell, maybe even defensive line if they needed you. I guess my question for you is how much did you miss the game, and how refreshing was it to finally put the helmet back on, put the shoulder pads back on?
Man, that I ain't gonna lie, that kind of talks about right now. That was a crazy moment, man, when I put them pads back on, because I basically fought a lot of adversity to get back on that football field, man. As far as like getting them grades back up, because that's kind of rough, and just getting back in, this football shaped period, getting back in the mix of things. And when I played my first game, man, I was almost in tears because I just couldn't believe I was back into this. I knew I always had the ability, but it was just getting myself back into football and getting myself back coordinated with it. But that was a blessing just to get back, and I always will be thankful to Glenville State for that.
Yeah, and you gotta love hearing that. I'm sure the listeners absolutely love hearing that. I mean, just a guy that absolutely loves to play the game of football, and here we are 4 years later. From your freshman year to now, how would you say your game as a whole has changed? I mean, obviously you've become a smarter football player. I got to think that just comes with the more experience you get as you play. But looking at your overall game, how would you say your game has improved from now, looking back to your game as a freshman, that first year of yours at Glenville?
Yeah, so the first year I was a freshman, because I'm not going to say I was bigger than everybody, because it's not just like I was playing against little kids or something. I would just come off the ball, try to power, instead of just using good technique. And I feel like I was really a waist bender when I first got in there, so I really worked on that aspect of my game. And another thing, I really worked on, like, progressing my film watching. So that, how you just look at film, you, like, look at that, you be like, oh, okay. Now I just actually slow down the film, see how fast, like, which guy gets off the line the fastest. How does he use his swim technique? Just a little stuff. How does he play the gap? I just really worked on all that as a progression each year, because I never wanted. You never can never stop studying football, so that's why I wanted to make sure I stayed on top of, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you can never work on, perfecting your craft. I mean, you're never going to be perfect. You could always get better, and obviously on the offensive line, there's always things to get better at. And, being a 4-year starter on the offensive line, Leon, they always say that the offensive and defensive line is, always the toughest positions to make the transition from the high school level to the collegiate level to the pro level. You're obviously able to have great success at Leo High School in Chicago to the college level at Glenville State. Overall, how would you describe your collegiate football career? I mean, there sounds like there's some ups and downs. You had to go through adversity, but in the end, you were able to play 4 years of college ball, and here we are now, talking about the possibilities of playing in the National Football League.
Yes, sir. I love my college experience. One thing I will say, I got better each year, but I still feel like the hunger of I can still get better. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm still real coachable. I feel like I haven't reached the top of my game yet. So that's one thing I'm always looking for. But I overall just say my college experience was great with that football stuff, and I loved it, man. And I feel like I just want to keep getting better, sir.
And again, that's all you could ask for right there. And yeah, I mean, you say that you don't even feel that you've reached the height of your potential. And looking at some of your tape, looking at some of your highlights, there's certainly a lot there to be impressed with. Now, I got to think that it's every collegiate athlete's dream to get an opportunity at the next level. Did you ever think that you would be this close to achieving that dream, though, Leon? I mean, obviously we're not there yet, still have a lot of work to do, but when did you realize that you would have what it takes to play in the league and that you were going to give this whole draft process a shot?
Yes, sir. Not to sound arrogant, man, but as soon as I put them pads on when I was younger, I played for the HF Junior Vikings. It's like a little football club. I'm not sure if you're aware because you're a local guy. HF Junior Vikings, a little local thing. Yeah, that was my first year, 8th grade. I never played football till my 8th grade year. I knew as soon as I put them pads on, I played my first game. Like, man, I really could do something with this sport. So ever since then, I've just been working on it, man. I've been working. I knew I was going to get to this day one day, sir.
Hey, and, obviously confidence is really a big part of really any sport, if you were to ask me. I mean, you got to have the confidence. You got to believe in yourself in order to really achieve anything. So absolutely the right mindset. Again, he's 2016 NFL draft prospect. Leon Hill, offensive tackle out of Glenville State, joining me here on the CS podcast, presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com, and I certainly think that this is a name that if you don't know much about now, I think you'll certainly be hearing lots about this name, Leon Hill, in the coming months. And Leon, what would you say is your biggest strength as an offensive lineman, and what is one thing that you feel that you could still get better at?
My biggest strength, I feel like I'm a mauler in the run game because I got a passion for run blocking, so I really love it. I just love run blocking. I love just being one-on-one with that guy, and I got to get him out of there for that running back to get a first down or a touchdown. I just love run blocking. And I feel like as an overall, I need to work on my pass blocking a little bit more. I mean, it's not terrible, but I feel like I need to get way better at it, for like a different level of athletes. So I really need to keep pressing on working on my pass working. And that's what I've been doing because I've actually trained with this guy named Nick Cook, and he's the head coach of Chicago Christian. And he's been getting me right, sir, because he used to be an old strength and conditioning coach for Ohio State. So I've just been really working on that with him every day.
Nice. All right. Yeah, sounds great. And, just like every other position, I mean, quarterback, you can never be too good at, hitting your targets, working on the footwork. Wide receivers, you can never be too good or too great or, perfect the art of catching the football, route running. As an offensive lineman, there's always things to work on, whether it's the run blocking, whether it's the pass blocking, whether it's getting your footwork right. All right, so, you mentioned your strength is run blocking. You mentioned that if there's something that you had to work on would be the pass blocking. And, besides the nastiness factor, Leon, I mean, I think we all know that every offensive lineman has to have the nasty, mean streak inside them. What would you say is just one thing that you need to do or need to have in order to have success as an offensive lineman?
I feel like as an offensive lineman, if you don't have the mental part, you really don't have nothing because there's no disrespect to other positions, but I feel like you have to be a really intelligent guy to play offensive line because you got to know when the defense is shifting. You got to know everything, like when the defense moves, what that safety's doing when he comes down, because you might have to call a blitz out. It's just all types of stuff. So I feel like the mental aspect is the biggest thing when you play offensive line before you do anything. You have to have your mental ability ready, or you really can't do nothing else. Because you can't just be out there just playing around. You got to have the mental state down. So I think that's the number one thing.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked a little bit about the confidence. I think that'll kind of factor in with the mentality as a whole as well. I mean, if you're going out there not really knowing what to expect, or you're going out there not feeling 100%, then there's a good chance that you could get blown up. So I think you're absolutely right about that, Leon. Throughout your time playing college ball, who would you say is the best single player that you've had to play against? I mean, is there anybody specific that stands out? Now, this could go back to your times, whether you're maybe practicing with the Fighting Illini or, at Glenville State. I mean, we talked about how there is a ton of talent at the Division II level. I mean, is there any one specific, defensive player that kind of stands out in your mind when you look back at your time at Glenville State?
I kind of got three, so I'm going to have to name them. The freshman year when I was at University of Illinois, I want to say Michael Buchanan because that was probably the fastest guy I've ever blocked in my life off the edge. And then the two people I ended up blocking at Glenville State was I think his name was Davis Toole. He played for University of Chattanooga, Tennessee Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got drafted like 5th or 4th round. The DN, he was pretty good. He had a nonstop motor. And then the third one would have to be between Shepherd's DNs, Chanel Jenkins and Howard Jones. They were pretty good too, and it was a good battle. So I'll give it credit to those guys. Cause I feel like they made me better, and I feel like I made them better. So those are the best guys I ever faced.
All right, great. And, yeah, obviously Michael Buchanan from the Fighting Illini, obviously another Southside Chicago product. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I believe Toll was drafted, I want to say by the New Orleans Saints. I could be wrong. Maybe it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe it was one of those two squads, though. But and then you mentioned Shepherd, obviously a team that was able to participate in the Division II National Championship game. So
yes,
sounds great. Now, moving on to my next question, Leon, with your college football career officially over, I mean, it's actually been exactly 3 months to this day since your last football game as a Pioneer. Kind of take us through what you've been doing over the last few months. I'm sure that you spent some time giving your body a rest, but you mentioned that you've been training a little bit. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yes, sir. I gave my body probably like a week's amount of rest, and I came back home or whatever, and I hooked up with because my little brother, he's a pretty good receiver. He plays for Chicago Christian. I hooked up with his coach by the name of Nick Cook. He's a real good guy. God bless, man. And I've been working on him every day from 6:45 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. We just been getting after it. Combine work, lineman drills, all types of stuff. So we just been getting after it.
Nice. And
also, I've also been working at Papa John's Pizza just to keep a job to keep myself busy, sir.
Okay.
So I work every day and train, and that's about it.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. Certainly keeping yourself busy, not a bad thing to do at all. Whether it's training or keeping yourself busy with a job, not bad at all. Now, you mentioned that you've been training, you've been kind of training for the combine, for the pro days. Any idea when and where your pro day will be at? And I'm not sure if Glenville State will have one. Maybe you'll be coming. You'll be staying in Chicago and participate in the Northwestern Pro Day. I know they usually allow local guys to participate in their event. I mean, any idea where you'll be opening the eyes of many scouts at?
Yes, sir. I'm shooting for Northwestern right now, and I think that's in March. So I've been talking with my agent about that, and that's what we're shooting for. But if not, I'll probably go somewhere in West Virginia, like probably University of Marshall, University of West Virginia. But we're not really too sure yet. But it's looking like Northwestern, sir.
All right, sounds good. Any specific numbers? I mean, what kind of numbers would you like to record? And I mean, do you have any set numbers in your mind that all right, I'm going to blow these scouts away with, these many reps of 225, or you'd like to get this vert or 40 time? I mean, I know offensive and defensive linemen for the 40 time. I mean, it's obviously the event that's looked at the most when you talk about the wide receivers, running backs, cornerbacks, even quarterback nowadays. But it doesn't really matter too much about the 40 time when it comes to offensive linemen, defensive tackles. We've seen that year in and year out. Is there a specific category, in the pro days, in the combines, that you would like to just dominate or you think you would dominate in?
Honestly, so I want to dominate every last one of them. So that's why I'm working hard. And I just want to show the scouts that how well I move and all that. And I'm going to show them how strong I am. I really don't have no specific numbers as of right now. But I just want to show them the best I can. Basically, just show them how hard I've been working. I'm just going to blow them away with everything. So I don't really have like a specific thing that I just want to be like, ooh, I want to wow with this. I want to wow with everything, especially coming from a D2. I know I got to prove myself, and I have no problem with competition. So that's about it, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, knocked it out of the park, my friend. You knocked that one out of the park with that answer. I'll say that. I mean, and you mentioned it. Coming from a Division II school, obviously these scouts aren't really going to care too much about your past. I mean, obviously being a 4-star recruit is very impressive, especially in a state like Illinois. It may not be the hotbed for high is, if you were to ask me, one of the top in the nation when it comes to high school football. So that is impressive. But these scouts aren't going to look past, go all the way back to your high school days. They're going to want to see what you're going to be able to do now and what you're able to do at Glenville State, and obviously what you'll be able to do in the future for one of their franchises. And again, he is the offensive tackle out of Glenville State, Leon Hill, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible as he gets set for the 2016 NFL Draft. And, Leon, I see the Glenville State Athletics website has you listed at 6'5", 333 pounds. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir. But I've lost tons of weight since then. I'm actually right now standing at 6'5", 315 on the dot because I've been working hard, so I got all that weight off me. I've just been working to stay at my weight. I want to stay between 310 and 315 so I can be able to play guard or tackle, and show that I got, versatility, sir.
Oh, yeah. And obviously that will probably be the first numbers that will open up the eyes of scouts at your pro day. I mean, 6'5", 310, 315, obviously the height and weight that you would be looking for an offensive lineman at the next level. Now we've talked a little bit about your combine and pro day training, ever since your football season, your football career has officially been wrapped up. How about I guess you could kind of call it the business side of things. I mean, have you signed with an agent yet?
Yes, sir. I signed with an agent, GHG Sports, and there's one name is John Al Thomas, and the other one is John. I call him J.O. because I really can't even pronounce his last name, so I'm sorry about that. I can't even pronounce it, but we call him J.O. But my main agent is Al Thomas, and that's what I signed with so far, sir.
All right, and I guess kind of talk about that whole process. I mean, how did you find out that, or how did you figure that they would have the best interest in you going forward and obviously pursuing this professional career?
See, the reason why I like Mr. Thomas because he's a hard worker. I mean, I've talked to him at 12 o'clock midnight, sir. And I feel like he doesn't just want to talk to you about football. He's actually caring about you as a man, as a person. He's actually a minister, so he's a God-fearing person. I really like that about him because, you need somebody just in case you never know. So you need an agent that's going to help you in all aspects of life. So I feel like he was a good choice.
Yeah, and as I tell every prospect that I chat with and kind of get to know, or even if I don't even really know them, I mean, obviously you're going to sign and you're going to look for the person who has the best interest in you, who you feel is going to obviously do a lot of work for you as you pay them off throughout your career. Now, Leon, I really do appreciate your time. We're going to end this interview with something that I like to call the 2-minute drill. Some of these questions will be football-related, and some will just be random questions about pretty much anything. Are you ready to knock some of these out?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, we'll start off with what is your favorite TV show and movie?
Oh, Martin's my favorite TV show, but I'll never get tired of that. And my favorite movie is Training Day.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Who would you say you model your game after? I mean, is there anybody currently playing in the NFL? Maybe it's a former NFL player that you kind of grew up watching and kind of like to model your game after theirs?
I like two favorite people. I like Marshall Yanda from the Baltimore Ravens because I love the way he runs. But I think he's probably the best graded guard in the NFL. And I love Jonathan Ogden. I followed Jonathan Ogden for years, and I know he retired, but that's my favorite player of all time. He's the reason why I wore number 75 in high school, sir.
Okay, nice. That's a great little nugget right there that you just provided. And I gotta ask, this isn't a question that's written down, but you mentioned Marshall Yanda and Jonathan Ogden. Obviously, if Marshall Yanda continues playing at a high level like how he has been throughout his career, he'll probably be following Jonathan Ogden in the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. But yes, I gotta ask. I mean, those are two Baltimore Ravens. Growing up, were you somehow a Ravens fan from Chicago?
No, it's just weird because I know that is kind of weird. I'm definitely a Bears fan, diehard Bears fan, but I love those two linemen, and also I give much respect to Kyle Long for the Bears too because I really like him as a football player also. But I just always loved Jonathan Ogden and somehow fell in love with Marshall Yanda too when I watched their game because they're just so physical and nasty and athletic. And that's what I always wanted to model myself after. So that's how I fell in love with those guys.
And obviously, sadly, the Bears haven't really provided you with any great offensive linemen over the last, 10, 15 years, although you did mention Kyle Long, just wrapped up his third year in the league and certainly has a hell of a future with the Chicago Bears, obviously playing his first 2 years at a Pro Bowl level at guard. Then this year made the transition to right tackle at the start of the regular season. Had a few, bumps in the road this season. Wasn't the greatest year, but obviously I got to think he'll only get better. Anyways, moving on. If you had a plane ticket to travel anywhere you wanted, where would you go?
Probably either Costa Rica or the Bahamas. That's always been my two favorite spots, so I would love to go out there.
Hey, I certainly wouldn't complain with that. I mean, warm weather, especially throughout this time in the Windy City. There you go. You have the right idea right there. Let's say you were able to guard against anybody, go up against anybody, any defensive end, any defensive tackle currently playing in the NFL. I mean, who is somebody that you would love to just go one-on-one with?
I would love to, because I like going against the very best, and I know it's probably going to be sounding crazy coming from an incoming rookie, but I would either love J.J. Watt and Dominic Sue because both of them guys can't help you do nothing but get better because you're going to have to go physical and hard every single play. That's how I like to play the game of football. So I would love to go against those two guys, man, because I feel like they set the tone of how linemen should play in the NFL. They play hard every single snap, and I would love to play against those guys.
Yeah, and you know what they say, to be the best, you have to beat the best. So, obviously, J.J. Watt, Ndamukong Suh, two of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. Next question, and I for some reason, being a Chicago guy, Leon, I hope to hear a pizzeria be the answer to this question, but I don't really know what to expect. Favorite restaurant?
Oh, no question. You already said Giordano's or Harold's Chicken, both of those.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite
restaurants. Nice. Sounds great. You did not let me down, I'll tell you that.
No, sir.
If it wasn't for football. Oh man, I already knew. I don't know what people are thinking when they choose the New York style pizza over the Chicago deep dish style, but whatever it is, they need some help. Moving on though, if it wasn't for football, what career would you be pursuing in?
I'll probably be sports manager because actually I love the game of football so much. I wouldn't mind being an offensive line coach and a run game quality control coordinator or whatever because I want to be both of those. Okay. So I've actually got like a notebook full of plays that I've been working on ever since I was younger because I want to actually go into coaching. So I'm just waiting on my football career to be done to get started on that. So.
All right, sounds good. So you'll still be sticking with the game of football, even if it wouldn't be playing in it. You would be looking at the coaching side of things. Sounds great. And final question for you, Leon. Again, it's been a treat chatting with you. I really do appreciate your time. Let's say we got all 32 NFL general managers listening to this very interview. Why should they want the offensive lineman out of Glenville State, Leon Hill, a part of their team?
First and foremost, I feel like they should come get me because I'm a guy that's going to show up every day to work, and I got a big chip on my shoulder coming from D2. I know I was a 4-star prospect, but that was way back in 2009. And that's really – I'm not going to say it's left my mind, but since I'm coming from D2, I just really got a big chip on my shoulder, and I want to work hard every day. And I'm going to show them that I belong in the NFL. I think they should come get me right now. And I feel like it would be a big mistake if they don't.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you what. Looking at, like I said, some of your tapes, some of your highlights that you provided me, I was very impressed. And obviously, being able to chat with you throughout this interview, I'm even more impressed with Leon Hill, the tackle out of Glenville State, even willing to play guard or even, if needed, water boy. So make sure you guys take that down. And, Leon, like I said, that was my final question for you. I really do appreciate your time, and I'm certainly wishing you all the best as you get set for the 2016 NFL Draft, man.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you, man, because you took the time out to do this interview, so I really appreciate you, sir.
Hey, pleasure was all mine. Pleasure was all mine. Hopefully we keep in touch, and who knows, maybe someday, coming up to the draft or maybe even after the draft, we'll do a follow-up.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. I'll be available for you anytime, sir. Thank you.